Hello and welcome to Why Wasn't It Better? I'm your host, Patrick Darms.
I'm your co-host, Anton Paras.
This week on Why Wasn't It Better? It was nominated for 11 Oscars and won 0. It's based on a Pulitzer Prize-winning novel directed by Steven Spielberg with a cast that includes Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah, and Danny Glover. And yet something didn't quite land. We're talking The Color Purple, a powerful story of survival, sisterhood, and liberation, filtered through the lens of mid-1980s Hollywood. Was Spielberg the right director for this? Did the studio soften the edges too much? Or did a film with this much talent just get lost in translation? We're digging in, holding hands, and asking the question, why wasn't it better? Joining us today is a longtime guest and favorite friend of the show, Zion Parker. Welcome back, sir.
Zion, welcome back.
Howdy, howdy. Nice to be back. Thanks for having me.
We're excited for this one. You and I have talked about this movie just in private a few different times. I can't remember how it came up, but probably we were talking about Oprah, is my guess.
That had to have been the open door. I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know, but I do remember it coming up.
It's been quite a genre jump from movie to movie. Last we had you on, we talked about Pocahontas.
Yes.
And now we have The Color Purple. No clear path there, but here we are.
None whatsoever. That's what I love about this show. You get surprised when I get texts. It's just like, oh, well, let's do it.
I give all of our guests usually a couple different options, like pick one. And then, so Anton, the next one is another genre hop that Zion will be on for. It's a horror movie.
Perfect. Bones.
Oh, not the one with Snoop Dogg.
Of course, the one with Snoop Dogg.
No, not the maggots.
The expectations for that were so high.
They were?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
What's the vampire movie he's in? Is that Bones or is it something else?
Was it the one where, like, at the end, like, maggots, like literal maggots spew out of someone's mouth? And that
was in Bones, but I don't know if he wasn't a vampire in it.
Because he wasn't in Tales from the Hood. I know that much. I think was he considered a vampire, or was he just sort of like an entity?
Well, you know what? I think this is enough conversation that we will have to do a Bones episode.
Yeah. Already the listeners who turned in to hear about The Color Purple are like, what is going on here?
Hey, listen, whenever y'all want to do it, I will find a way to watch it.
Well, we have to do Beloved first.
Oh, my goodness.
Speaking of Oprah, speaking of horror, because that's technically a horror movie, right?
It is.
Yeah. Majority drama, but it's haunting. Like, the way they advertised it was horror. But whenever you guys want to do that, let me know. That's an interesting follow-up to this movie, which is crazy.
It's like sort of related to this movie, but also like not at all.
Not at all. I would just say the setting is kind of similar, like in terms of atmosphere, but it's tonally and drastically different.
It's the horror version of Color Purple.
Yeah, man. Just
it's crazy.
When was that movie released? 90s,
the late 90s.
Late 90s.
Yeah. 1998. I have so many fun facts about that movie. I know a little bit too much about that movie.
It's got to be one of the craziest movies you've ever seen, right?
That one's out there.
Disney made it. Because
that was a Touchstone movie, right?
But it was under Touchstone owned Disney.
Right. No, Disney owned Disney used Touchstone for anything that wasn't acceptable to the Disney brand.
It does.
Movie certainly isn't.
And it does. You're right. It does have the connections. Danny Glover, Toni Morrison,
Oprah.
Danny Glover, Oprah, of course.
Oprah produced it, right?
She's the reason why it got made. Like,
right.
Whenever you want to do that episode, I'll save all my fun facts for that. But
it's on the list. I might have to bump it up.
Hey.
It would have to be a Halloween themed movie, right?
Well, it was released, if I'm not mistaken, because it's been a while since I did a deep dive on that one. I believe it was released in October, but it bombed so bad to the point where I think Bride of Chucky was released the same weekend, and Oprah actually went in. It's documented. Oprah was so depressed because the Bride of Chucky did extremely well, and she said on her show, we got beat by something called Chucky, and she went into a depression and ate 20 pounds of macaroni and cheese. I'm not joking.
That's one way to respond.
Goodness gracious. And Disney pulled it after about a month, and I think all of the remaining screens that were supposed to show Beloved, they started playing The Water Boy by Adam Sandler.
I think that whole turn of events is just enough for us to have to cover the film. It's
Oh,
been
we are. We're definitely covering this.
It's been
yes.
it's been a long time since I've watched any of those movies we just talked about, but it also has been a long time since I've seen The Color Purple, which we're covering today.
Oh yeah.
We are covering today. One more thing on Oprah before I forget, because this is funny. So we're covering a film for spooky season in a couple weeks, Interview with the Vampire, and already doing some preliminary research for this. One of the things mentioned on the Wikipedia article for the film is that Oprah was horrified by it and walked out after 10 minutes because she was disgusted by the violence in it.
That, I'm gonna save my
Interesting.
comments. That's surprising because she's even. I don't know if her taste have changed, but like she produced Precious, which is one of the most like I don't want to call it vile because it's art, but that's one of the most disturbing things I've ever watched or had the pleasure of
Have
seeing.
you
So
seen Interview with the Vampire?
no, is it that bad?
I haven't rewatched it yet, so I haven't seen it in a long time. So I'll withhold judgment on it because I have like 20-year memories of it at this point.
I don't remember it being that violent.
It's super campy.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt play
Let's see.
vampires, and it's got a really good cast actually.
I might add this to
Also,
the list.
Kirsten Dunst plays a vampire.
Yeah. Antonio Banderas is in it. Stephen Rea, Christian Slater. Yeah,
It's
Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. That is a stacked cast.
yeah,
It's-
stacked cast. Yeah.
It's based on a novel by Anne Rice, really famous for making a lot of vampire novels.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think this is probably where the super sexual side of the modern vampire stories came from, but we're really sidebarring here now. Let's talk about The Color Purple.
Yes.
An epic tale spanning 40 years in the life of Celie, an African-American woman living in the South, Georgia to be exact, who survives incredible abuse and bigotry after Celie's abusive father marries her off to the equally abusive Mr. Albert Johnson. Things go from bad to worse, leaving Celie to find companionship anywhere she can. She perseveres, holding on to her dream of one day being reunited with her sister in Africa. The film's tagline is, "It's about life, it's about love, it's about us." The Color Purple was released on December 18th, 1985 by Amblin Entertainment, the Goober Peters Company, and Warner Brothers. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Screenplay by Menno Meijes. Not sure how to pronounce that. Sorry, Menno. It's based on the novel by Alice Walker. Starring Whoopi Goldberg, Danny Glover, Margaret Avery, Oprah Winfrey, Adolph Caesar, Ray Dawn Chung, Akasua Busia, and Willard Pugh. The budget was $15 million, adjusted for inflation that is $44 million, and the box office was $98 million. That is $290 million adjusted for inflation. Big money maker considering the subject matter. And it has a 73% Rotten Tomato score. Zion, you were pretty excited to be the guest for The Color Purple when I offered it to you. Why?
I know. I think during the time in which you did offer it to me, I don't know. I was thinking about a few things and I was like, well, I feel like I would have some good insight to provide. I think that's the main reason why I was excited for it. Also, I thought it would be a cool opportunity for me to segue into Beloved. Because if you were to watch this episode that we're recording today and the Beloved one, you'll see that there are parallels between the both films, especially since two of the actors are, in that film, and then they're like in a romantic relationship in the other film, and in this film, they're at odds. So it's really interesting.
Anton, I wanted to cover this film now for a couple of reasons. It's the upcoming 40th anniversary of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Steven Spielberg film. Really, any of his movies are interesting to talk about. And the more I think about it, this is a total outlier in his filmography.
You think?
Probably more at the time, because he hadn't done anything like this at the time. I think he's done more similar films since. I'm just talking dramas. I'm not talking about the characters or the subject matter. But this was his first tried and true drama. And it is a film that has an odd legacy. I wrote down, I think it's a pseudo classic. It's a classic in name because of who directed it and what it was adapted from. This the Pulitzer Prize winning novel by Alice Walker. Very, very well known novel. A lot of people remember this film fondly. There are some who don't. But in the totality of Steven Spielberg's filmography, this is never on the A level, or it just doesn't seem to be. Earlier this year, we covered the film that won the 1985 Academy Award for Best Picture, Out of Africa. We talked a little bit about The Color Purple on that episode.
That's right.
Your thoughts?
Interesting time period when we think about what was getting nominated at the time. I think there was definitely a big shift in the public's taste as well as executive decisions on what kind of films are being covered and nominated. And of course, Mr. Steven Spielberg, who I think has just obviously the most illustrious career, it is awesome to see him dip into this new genre that we hadn't typically seen him cover previously. How do I put this? Well, I wasn't around in 1985, so I wasn't quite so keen on what the public response was at the time. But I do have a personal connection with this film, and I read it for a class in high school. Was really moved by the novel. Watched the film. Was really moved by the film. So it's something where, especially when you put two and two together, that was Steven Spielberg. Like, there's no denying it. The man has true directing chops, but I think that he doesn't get enough credit. Isn't that a funny thing to say? He doesn't get enough credit, but
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I still think he's like weirdly underrated in ways.
Yeah, but I think this is one of those film examples where you gotta watch it.
It's also the rare Spielberg film where I have talked to people about this who didn't realize it was a Spielberg movie. They're like, "Oh wow, Steven Spielberg directed that." It's well remembered. It got a boost from the musical adaptation and the recent remake, and
I think
it just doesn't seem to have the legacy of some of Spielberg's other work.
it doesn't, and I think just with it's a heavy film. It's very, very, very heavy. I think with I'm just gonna say with this particular IP, I don't know if I know it crossed over. It's very touchy. I'll say that. And I don't know during the time, I guess this is what I'm trying to say because my caffeine hasn't kicked all the way in. I don't know if at the time it was marketed as like a Spielberg epic or something like that. I think it was more quiet, but I could be completely wrong.
I know what you mean. I mean, his name certainly would have been a big deal, and we'll talk about why he was chosen to direct this film by the primary producer, Quincy Jones, probably best remembered for his musical contributions, maybe more than his film contributions.
Oh yeah,
not for his appearance in the Austin Powers film.
He was in Austin Powers.
He's in one of them.
Very, very brief moment.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But I mean, this film, it was well received enough at the time. I mean, audiences seemed to like it. I mean, it made a lot of money. 11 Academy Award nominations and shutout. That tied a record with a 1977 film called The Turning Point, which I've never seen. But I mean, the Oscars piece to this, we're certainly going to talk about a little
Absolutely.
bit. That is like shocking that a film gets that many nominations and doesn't win anything.
Well, the industry has been very, at times, they've shown their blatant jealousy towards Spielberg. Like, it's just... And I love the guy. Like, that is one of the reasons why I do pursue film. But they've been, very outspoken with, no, we don't mess with you.
Particularly here because it got 11 nominations. He was not nominated for director.
Really?
Nope.
Wow.
We'll talk about that a little bit later, but that was a big point of contention to him, understandably so. But more on that later. Anton, why don't you start the production history here?
Gladly. Due to Hollywood's complicated history of portraying female and African American characters in film, Alice Walker was initially reluctant to sell the film rights to her novel. After consulting with many friends, she decided that the only way to improve representation of minorities was to work with the system and sold the film rights to producers John Peters and Peter Guber. Sorry, that's Warriors co-owner Peter Guber. The contract stipulated that she would serve as project consultant and that 50% of the production team, aside from the cast, would be African American, female, or, quote, people of the third world. She wrote an initial draft but was replaced by Menno Meyjes, a Dutch writer who Spielberg had wanted to work with. Nevertheless, Walker retained final script approval and worked as an uncredited script doc. Music mogul Quincy Jones, whose only prior film experience was as a composer, served as producer and approached Steven Spielberg to direct. Spielberg was initially reluctant to take the job, feeling his knowledge of the Deep South was inadequate and that the film should be directed by someone of color. Walker was skeptical but was convinced otherwise after watching E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Spielberg waived his usual salary, only taking the Director Guild minimum of $40,000. A lot of credit should be given to casting director Reuben Cannon, who personally lobbied Quincy Jones to work on the film, and Walker wanted lesser-known actors to portray the main characters.
Whoopi Goldberg was a comedic stage performer at the time, and she had starred in a highly acclaimed one-woman show on Broadway, but had no film experience whatsoever. In her memoir, Whoopi revealed that she sent a handwritten letter to Alice Walker at the encouragement of her daughter after she enjoyed Walker's readings of the novel on the radio. As Whoopi was relatively unknown in the mainstream at the time, she was shocked to receive a reply from Walker who indicated she was not only aware of her stage work, but she had put her on Quincy Jones and Steven Spielberg's radar ahead of casting talks. Her audition for Steven Spielberg, where both Jones and Michael Jackson were present, there's a trip, saw her perform a routine involving a stoned E.T. being arrested for drug possession. The Michael Jackson thing makes total sense. This would have been pretty much the pinnacle of Quincy Jones's producing career. He was fresh off of producing Thriller, might be an album you've heard of. Oprah Winfrey was a radio and television host at the time without any prior acting experience who was hired at Jones's insistence. Margaret Avery was a veteran actor. Now, other cast members such as Danny Glover, Adolph Caesar, and Carl Anderson were predominantly stage performers. At one point, Spielberg considered shooting it in black and white, but he decided he couldn't do it with something called the color purple. Peters and Goober served as executive producers, and at one point, Spielberg had them both banned from the set because of their history of, quote, offering suggestions during production. And they were just a few years away from producing the mega hit Batman in 1989, so it worked out well for them, despite being banned from the set of The Color Purple. While the story is set in Georgia, the film was shot on location in North Carolina, in Anson and Union counties, as well as right in and around Charlotte, where I live. Sets were constructed at an antebellum-era plantation outside Wadesboro, while the town of Marshville and its paved roads covered in mud and clay to match the early 20th century setting were fixed up. Filming began in June 1985, and the whole thing was shot in the summer of 1985, despite what you see in the film with many, there's a few scenes set in winter with snow, but the whole thing was shot in summer in North Carolina, so they must have been sweating the whole time.
So that sounds a bit warm.
It's warm here. I can confirm that.
Anton, I want you to come and spend just like at least one full week at a southern state of your choice, and then you tell me what you would consider warm during the dead of summer.
Yeah. Am I allowed any AC during that?
You are, but
Okay.
you're gonna have some bursts. Actually, go to Carolina where Pat's at. That would be more fitting because I don't know if it's more humid over there. I know, like where I'm at in Dallas, it's very like at night it's kind of dry, but during the daytime it is sticky and disgusting.
I mean, Anton's been to New Orleans, which is one of the hottest places ever.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember when I went to New Orleans. If it was in June, it must have been June, right, Pat? Does that sound right? When I went,
yeah. It's like you're being blasted in the face with a hairdryer the entire time.
My wife and I went back to our hotel, I think maybe 3 times over the course of a day, just because we were like, it's just way too hot outside.
Oh, yeah.
Last piece of the production of Color Purple. Additional scenes were filmed on the Universal Studios Hollywood backlot, and then second unit filming was done in Kenya. All right, let's talk why wasn't it better? Number one reason, the drama. We say this with a lot of adaptations of well-known books, Anton, and I didn't realize you had read the book, so this is a little bonus for the discussion, because I have not. A film does not have to be a completely faithful adaptation of a book to be a good film, and vice versa. Some of the criticism that I have heard about this movie is that they changed things from the book. There were things that they left out of the book. They didn't do the book justice, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't like that criticism of any film because, like I just said, it doesn't have to be a straight adaptation to be a good film. Now,
I agree.
what are your thoughts on this, Anton, since you actually read the book?
I think that, one, your initial statement on it doesn't have to be a page-for-page adaptation is totally correct. Something that works for the medium of a book does not work for the medium of movie in the same way that it wouldn't necessarily work for the medium of television. There's only just so much time and so many scenes you have to really tell the story and what you want to tell. And we trust directors to an extent to be able to tell this story and fitting within a screenplay meant for the film medium. So I think overall, and just like to, distill it really quickly, I think the film did a great job of really representing the book's core. A lot of the other details that the film doesn't get into are things more around the more brutal aspects of the book, and then also just around themes that weren't explored as much in the film, but more so implied, mainly around just like sexuality. And I think that there's, Spielberg's gone on record on saying why he hasn't gone into those particular details as much between Seeley and Shug. But at the end of the day, there's only so much, again, screen time that we're allotted in a film, and I think it's a director's job to be able to fit it within a cohesive film story. And in the same way that you're not going to be able to fit everything from a book, and you pick and choose for your audience. There's a reason this film was PG-13.
The quote from Spielberg on that, and then I'll let Zion take over because I know he has a lot of thoughts on this. Spielberg said, quote, "There were certain things in the lesbian relationship between Shug Avery and Seeley that were finely detailed in Alice's book that I didn't feel could get a PG-13 rating, and I was shy about it. In that sense, perhaps I was the wrong director to acquit some of the more sexually honest encounters between Shug and Seeley, because I did soften those. I basically took something that was extremely erotic and very intentional, and I reduced it to a simple kiss. I got a lot of criticism for that." End quote.
Oof. I don't think, now that I think about, I've never seen Schindler's List, it's definitely on my watch list of watching. So I don't know if there was anything sexual in that film or even explicit.
There is.
Oh,
There is.
okay.
Yes.
So but going based off of the other things I've seen Spielberg do, a lot of his scenes that can be sort of risque, they're more so implied versus being like in your face. Like the first thing I think of is Catch Me If You Can. It's very tastefully done. That's not really his brand from what I can say, or
No.
going based off what I can see,
No.
but even on top of that, like it was just a different time. For one, when it comes to the Black community and like the LGBT and stuff like that, that relationship has been definitely rocky. So, I think like it being overly explicit or something like that during that time period, I don't think it would have gone over well with Main Street audiences, let alone Black audiences. Now, so people are more accepting of it now, so you can get away with a lot more. But I just think, going back to your credit, Pat, it was a victim of its time in that regard.
40 years is an eternity. I mean,
oh yeah,
for any type of content, especially that.
Absolutely.
And you're completely right about Spielberg doing sex in his movies. Anton, I would have to fact check this, but at this point in 1985, he had directed Sugarland Express, Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1941, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., you can count the Twilight Zone movie.
Mm-hmm.
You can totally count Poltergeist because he directed that movie. I don't care what people say he did.
Right.
And then Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So this was more or less his 10th film. This might have been the first sex scene he ever shot.
Yeah.
I think it is, right?
I mean, there was the cut scene from E.T., but other than that...
The cut scene
but that
from
just would have
E.T.?
been awkward.
Don't go into detail. We'll talk about it.
We're making that up.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think he had ever done sex in a movie before.
No. It's always been implied. Even like, for example, in the Temple of Doom, Indy's like, yes, no, maybe so with
right.
Yeah.
With future Mrs. Spielberg.
With future Mrs. Spielberg.
But yeah, I mean, he's always had a strange relationship with sex in movies. I mean, most famously, I think Munich is a very controversial and maligned sex scene in there. And it's not an R-rated movie, like he was saying. He wanted it to be PG-13. I think there's not really any profanity in here. I think all the PG-13 content just comes from just the subject matter of what's being depicted. I mean, there's nothing graphic in here, and yet it is quite brutal. The
Oh
psychological
yeah.
violence in here in particular.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Brutal is an understatement. It is.
What grade did you watch this film in, Anton? Because this is not. I mean,
No,
I saw it as a kid, but I was probably 13 or 14, so I was older.
No, I read it and watched it in high school.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know if there's a lot more to say about the content in this. I mean, for 1985, for a mainstream movie, like a mainstream movie made by a big studio, they just weren't going to show much more than this.
I'm grateful for that though. In a essence, I am grateful for it because now like you get certain films that come out and it's so much sensory overload. I think at times it's more effective when things are implied rather than shown. And I think like just with the images of like certain black pieces of media, they can be damaging. So I'm actually grateful that Spielberg, he put his magic touch to it and he kind of softened it a little bit versus it being a film similar to something like I don't know if either one of you have seen Tyler Perry's first R-rated movie. It was called For Colored Girls. I mean, there's like rape sequences, children being dropped out of windows, something like Precious. Yeah, it's wild.
I think I would have remembered that.
Yeah, never seen that one, but I think I totally see where you're coming from, Zion. I think part of it for me also, I think, is there's a point with any directorial style or just any film where if it's a bit gratuitous and on screen, it can go from like telling a message to just feeling exploitative, right?
Yeah.
And I think once it kind of goes to that other end of like this is a bit too much, it takes away from the story. As like brutal and true as it is, like maybe it doesn't get the message across as effectively.
Yeah, I mean, even when it comes to like different horror films, the best things or the things that terrify me the most or are the most effective on my emotions are the things that are implied, just the unknown, just letting your mind wander into that dark space and think like, dang, well, how bad really is it? I think that's more effective to me is just somebody in the audience. But yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it would have improved the film to show more of the violence in this film. Like, would it have made it better? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's why I wonder, like, if I do see because I haven't seen the remake, I haven't seen the stage musical, but I've heard both are, or at least I've heard the musical's really good. I haven't heard so much about the remake.
I haven't seen the remake, but by choice, because like I think it was coincidental. I laughed a little bit earlier when Pat said that the movie came out December 18th. I'm like, what is it with you guys releasing the most depressing movies during Christmas?
During Christmas time.
This is just such a bad time.
Award season.
Yeah.
Do Thanksgiving. I'll be depressed on Thanksgiving, not Christmas. It's just so joyful. But yeah.
I want to talk about the acting. Whoopi Goldberg. It's an incredible performance from her. Is this the greatest debut performance from an actor in the modern era?
Comes out of nowhere, right?
It came out of nowhere?
Yeah. And just...
She's never been in a film before.
Especially since she came from the comedy world. Most people who do comedy, their first film is usually like, something comedy, obviously, or like an action or something. But to go from telling jokes to doing this, absolutely outstanding.
The range of stuff that she has to hit here, gentle, pathetic, strong, she goes all over the place on the spectrum.
Everywhere, yeah.
And it spans across, I wrote down 40 years. I don't think it was quite that long, or almost 40, 30-something years. It starts in 1909 and it goes to 1936 or 7.
Yeah, so there's a lot of depth, whether in time or even emotionally.
Absolutely.
Give credit to Spielberg, too, for helping her along with this performance, but I don't want to take anything away from her. It really is. It might be the best debut performance ever. I wrote down some other potentials.
Okay.
Oh, who else is on this list?
Peter O'Toole and Lawrence of Arabia.
Pretty great.
It's
All-time
pretty
great.
good. Alan Rickman in Die Hard.
Ooh, is that goated? I think that's, oh my goodness.
It's his first movie. Edward Norton in Primal Fear.
Can see it.
Saoirse Ronan in Atonement. Haley
Okay.
Steinfeld in True Grit. Anna Paquin in The Piano. Won an Oscar for that, by the way. I think she was 11 or 12. And then Lupita Nyong'o in 12 Years a Slave. First movie.
Oh my god, that
Which
one.
I think, did she win the
Yeah.
Oscar for that too?
Yes,
Yeah,
she won
the
it.
goodness.
Now, you could argue those are more supporting roles, except for Peter O'Toole.
But for that to be her first movie,
Yeah.
my god.
It's impressive.
I think Whoopi might be my favorite of all these, though. I mean, it's just every time I see this movie, it seems like you're watching a veteran on the screen, and you're like, no, this was her first movie.
Was this her peak, though?
I think so.
I'd say Ghost or Sister Act.
I mean,
she wins the Oscar for Ghost, and then she basically gets her own blockbuster with Sister Act.
Right. She gets paid with Sister Act.
Right.
So,
But that was a huge hit. I mean, she was the star in it. And then she was also on Star Trek around the same time, which was awesome. She's great on the show.
So wait, was Sister Act 90 or 91? Because I know Ghost was 90.
It was after Ghost, so it's probably 91 or 92.
So that must have already been in the works during the time so the timing, that lineup to that meteoric rise she had was insane then. Insane. Oprah's breakout. Wait, was this Oprah's first movie? Because
Yeah.
I don't know if was she like syndicated nationally during this time, or was she more so like local?
She was local in Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah.
She wasn't like Oprah, you know.
Until like
not
maybe
at all.
the mid
No,
90s.
this would have been a huge deal for her.
Okay, so this is another thing with the makeup in this film. They age Oprah incredibly in this film.
She gets the
Oprah-
shit kicked out of her in that
Yeah.
prison.
Yeah.
When I tell you the work she did in this movie, and then that towards the end of the movie where she's at the dinner, my God, it just makes you think like, what the hell did they do to her in that damn prison?
It's just
It looked like a lot of beatings.
It's just like
Beatings.
a gut punch. And then what was it? But then they didn't put any makeup on Danny Glover.
No, that's worth mentioning. They just have him like hunched over, and it's
he's
kind of
just
funny. It's like, I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but it's kind of funny.
like older Danny Glover is still just Danny Glover.
They shave his hairline a little bit to let you know that he's aging.
Kind of.
But yeah, the makeup in this movie, we can call it out now. It's inconsistent. I'm being polite. It looks good on some characters, and on others, it's sort of funny. But it was the 80s.
Yeah, this was the 80s. It was also Danny Glover, big name. Good for him.
Not his first movie, but one of them. Before we move on, I just want to mention the actress who plays Young Seeley also did an incredible job.
Yep.
Young Seeley and Young Nettie. I'm surprised. Did she get nominated for anything? The one who was
No.
what?
No,
in
the
detail?
nominees for this film were acting. It was Whoopi
Technical.
Goldberg. Margaret Avery and Oprah were both nominated for supporting actress. Neither of them won. Well, we can talk about that. I have a whole section on the Oscars. Save your thoughts for that.
Oh, plenty of them.
Oh, I think we're in agreement on some of these. Yeah, you were getting into the Danny Glover of it all, Anton.
Mm-hmm.
This was his big breakthrough. It wasn't his first film, but he's like an all-time movie villain in this.
Yeah, all-time complex movie villain the way he's presented, right?
Yeah, mostly just a piece of shit, but yeah.
Mostly.
I'm not gonna lie. I laughed when she was trying to hold onto the pole and he took his hands and started like beating on them with his fist. That was not supposed to be funny, but that was a little comical.
God.
That has to be like the most childish thing it was a little funny. I'm not gonna lie.
It's another incredible performance. I'm blown away he wasn't nominated for this because it's not his most famous performance. I would say it's probably Lethal Weapon.
Oh hell yeah, Lethal Weapon.
That and as the what is it, the baseball coach in Angels in the Outfield.
Sure.
Can't even name his name. I'm saying it's an iconic role. Yeah.
I mean, I think so. It's Murtaugh, right? That's his most famous role. But like, this might be his best acting that I've ever seen him do.
Yeah, this is Mr. Like you said, is an all-time great villain.
You have to be somewhat sympathetic towards him at the end, and I mean like 2%, because there is a scene in the movie where he tries to rape a basically 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, and you're just like, what?
I can't even fathom. He deserved everything he had coming to him. Guillotine.
Almost got knifed in the throat. Almost.
He's
That-
close.
She should have got him right in the Adam's apple.
But just
Just-
not that day.
Here's my question for you both, because he gets his sort of redemption at the end, which obviously I don't think that redeems him for all the stuff that he did to Celie throughout her life. But like, does the film let him off the hook slightly?
I think it has the Spielberg touch where it feels kind of like, because Spielberg movies, they don't feel like Disney movies, but they have like a family friendly charm to them.
Optimism.
Yeah, that's the best way you could put to it. So like, you still a piece of shit, but you can still feel bad just slightly for pieces of shit.
Like you're still a piece of shit, but we can be hopeful.
Yeah, just keep them away from the kids,
Exactly.
all of them.
Thank goodness there was no real reconciliation where you just see him off in the field with his horse. There's no like he's sitting down to dinner with them again. You know what I mean? They didn't go there, thankfully.
Yeah.
Does he redeem
No.
himself in the book, Anton?
Nope.
Interesting. Huge year for Danny Glover in 1985. So he's in this, Silverado, and Witness.
He's not too old for this yet. Not quite yet.
No. The first Lethal Weapon was 2 years after this.
I would say I want to give a shout out to Mr. Danny Glover, Bay Area San Francisco legend. I've met the man a couple times because he
Nice.
lived in the Coal Valley neighborhood in San Francisco, or he probably still does. And he would frequent at the time, there was a pharmacy shop next to the coffee shop I worked at. He'd always pick up coffee and then also shop at the pharmacy. So, nice man.
Great actor.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is actually happening, but I read recently they are doing Lethal Weapon 5.
Please
and
leave
Mel
it
Gibson.
alone.
Yeah, please don't do that.
When was the last time I saw him in anything? Was the
Been
last
a while.
the last black
Gibson?
man in San Francisco?
That was a while ago, right?
Yeah, that was
2019, 2018? I think either 18 or 19.
I think it was 2019. It must have been because I saw it while I was still in San Francisco, so it was before COVID.
Okay.
I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. I thought he was retired. I didn't realize he was
Yeah.
still acting. Because he's
He did.
in his 80s at this point.
He's active in the community. I don't know if he's acting.
Well, he might be in the next Lethal Weapon, buddy.
Leave that man alone. He's
Yeah.
tired. He can't jump the same way he used
He
to.
was too old for this shit in the 80s. Come on.
Maybe
The
he
other
just
standout
yeah.
here, Margaret Avery.
Ooh,
Margaret.
Goodness.
Shug Avery.
goodness.
Great performance, Oscar-worthy performance, which we'll talk about. Haven't really seen her in anything else. I was trying to think, where do I know Margaret Avery from? I was looking at her filmography. Veteran actress, worked for a long time, but this is her most high-profile role, I would say.
Yeah,
I would say,
huge role.
I don't know if she's done anything recently. Like, I know she was on this TV show that was on BET. Excellent show. It was called Being Mary Jane. She did that like 2013, about 2015, 2016. And then she was briefly in this action movie, but it was one of those things that was like, oh, you guys kind of got Margaret Avery to do this. That was like 2018. But ever since then, I don't know if she's really done anything. I think now is just more so like I do it if I want to, but it doesn't have to pay the bills anymore. But she's older, so she
Right.
might not. Yeah.
I mean, what's Whoopi doing now besides The View? I don't know.
Waiting on Disney to give her money to make Sister Act 3. That's been in development hell for years.
Yeah,
Probably
it's-
another one they should leave alone at this point.
Yeah.
Whoopi seems like a very, I don't want to say like a different person, but I've seen some of her interviews on The View, and it's
She's
just
a different person. I don't think that's wrong to say that.
okay. I just feel bad saying it because I feel like there was such a spark and a joy to her, like in the 90s.
It's gone.
Versus like now, it's just like I feel like all she does is like drink wine and give bad takes on The View.
Poor Whoopi. I mean,
Getting paid.
Speaking of daytime talk shows,
Oprah.
why didn't Oprah act more? She's
She-
fantastic
Question.
here.
I think her show, because she did that damn near every day. I don't know
True.
what the taping schedule was like because
Yeah, I think I may have answered my
Yeah.
own question. She started printing money.
Yeah, that show, I didn't realize how much money, and she owned the show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
she started printing money and never stopped.
She became more of like a brand, and it was sort of one of those things of like, oh, well, I could do it, or I could do this.
yeah.
So,
Like making it seems like acting or making appearances on TV was more of a hobby for her, or like
Yeah.
just a marketing arm for the Oprah show.
And I think when she tried to jump back into acting with Beloved and that flopped, she was like, "Oh well, I don't think it's meant to be."
Time to go for the mac and
I
cheese.
think she.
Leave that lady alone.
I think she. You brought up the mac and cheese, Zion. That's
It
totally
was,
fair.
and you want to know something? It was 30 pounds instead of 20. I thought it was 20 pounds, but I googled it and it was 30 pounds of mac and cheese.
Who's counting? Like,
I
counting.
just
not
hope,
her.
but you know what? With Oprah, I'm just curious, where was the mac and cheese from? Was it made like
She
who
has
made
a
it?
personal chef.
But look, did we know
she,
this?
She is not cooking anything herself.
But
I
did
wouldn't
we-
either. No
but
way I would.
Did we know about like Oprah's favorite fried chicken place in Seattle?
Does she have a favorite fried chicken place in
Please tell
Seattle?
us.
So I just know this because I love traveling for food. In Seattle, there's Ezel's Chicken, which is very well known for Oprah called it her favorite fried chicken place. She's had it flown to her in Chicago during like height of her career,
As
so that
one
she could enjoy this fried chicken from Seattle.
Does fried chicken travel well?
I don't know.
I mean,
No, right?
no. Fried chicken is one of those things, like, if you try to eat it later, it just...
Yeah. I mean,
Even if you reheat it, it's not as good.
It's arguably
No.
better cold at that point.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
because
like,
you don't want it to dry out.
Right.
when you preheat it.
I'm sure Oprah figured it out. How to work around that.
I love that we have two separate stories surrounding Oprah and food.
I
I
like the
still wish we had gotten more acting out of her because
She
she got
wanted to
she
do
got an
it.
Oscar nomination for her first role, and
Yeah,
then
and
kind
she-
of was like, "Nah, I'm good."
And
It was
she
one-
killed it.
Yeah,
At the end of the film, because this wasn't a movie I grew up with. Like, I was very aware of what it was, and we had it. I just never watched it because I knew it was depressing. I knew that much.
fair.
But
Not something you pop on often.
you'd be surprised. A lot of people do. But
Wow,
I
it's,
digress.
it's not the
I'm-
shortest movie either.
Mm-mm.
No, and you want to know something? They would always play this on. I don't even think the channel is a thing anymore. It was called Oxygen. I
I
just
remember Oxygen.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah.
I remember going to people's houses and it was just on, and I was like, "Why are y'all out of every movie you could choose this one?"
Yeah, I remember Oxygen. I remember avoiding that channel.
I remember not knowing what it was.
It wasn't for me. I wasn't the target audience, but I just know, like, watching the movie, like, in adolescence, seeing, like, her character arc, where she starts and where she ends, that scene where she's just sitting there, like, laughing and rocking at the table, you're looking at a woman who has had, like, the absolute worst, and it just made me, like,
Powerful and then broken, right?
yeah, I was like, she transformed, literally.
There are few characters I felt worse for in a film than Sophia. It's just absolutely heartbreaking.
Absolutely. You're looking at a mother who was essentially trying to protect her children, and,
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Yeah,
literally.
it's a dissected. I think like this is why like it's just a really good example of not only was it the star power involved, but I think that it actually is kind of amazing that they were able to put together the perfect recipe for some first-time actors to succeed so well, along with like a great script, screenplay. And I don't think you can do that if you don't have a strong understanding of the subject matter. So I think this really, all this conversation, I think, is pushing Steven Spielberg even more in the discussion of he was the right person for the job.
Absolutely. I was telling Pat over the phone, I don't know who could have did this. Well, I had two people in mind, but even then it was...
Save it for in a minute.
Yeah.
I got you.
Really quickly on the cast, Anton, you made a really good point, the star power. And it's so rare to see a film like this where going into it, there were no stars. We see the stars born on screen here. It's really unique, really fascinating to revisit this 40 years later. Just where all of these performers were in their careers. Like Danny Glover, I think he was about 40 at the time, and like this made him into a star. Oprah, we know what happened there. Whoopi, we know what happened there. But there aren't many movies like this where we see this happen.
There's not. Very interesting. I mean, also, I guess what's interesting is with the big names involved, you don't necessarily have anyone demanding a large salary to be in
Right.
the film. So I think that was also to the film's benefit.
I mean, $15 million in '85.
Yeah.
Like, Anton, this cost less than half as much as Out of Africa. Now, granted, that was more expensive to film because they were doing it entirely on location was it Nairobi? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, exotic location.
But Redford,
aside,
huge salary. Meryl Streep, huge salary, to your point.
But even when you think of who wasn't involved, who were famous black actors at the time.
Right.
I don't see Angelica Houston on the list.
Angelica Houston. We like Angelica Houston. Kind of robbed Margaret Avery here, though, not going to lie.
Yeah,
Production thoughts that I had. Beautifully shot by Alan Davio. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This is a beautiful film. All the blocking, all the shots. I mean, incredible location work. The natural lighting, the art of... You don't really know when the artificial lighting takes over when they're on set. That's how well filmed it is. I want to shout out Alan Davio because he has worked with Spielberg on 3 major films. They're all amazing cinematography. This one, E.T. and Empire of the Sun, those are 3 of some of Spielberg's best shot films. Of course, this was back in the era when Spielberg would work with different DPs before he met Janusz Kaminski.
Different time.
Yeah. I watched the making of documentary. Davio mentions they shot most of the scenes in the afternoon looking what he said, quote, towards the sun. And I thought that was really interesting to know that before I rewatched this. You can totally see it. And it's beautiful, beautiful capturing of the sun here. That's one that was not an Oscar robbery there, Anton. I mean, Out of Africa beat this for cinematography, like, fair.
Yeah, very fair. But man, it is interesting to see how different a film shot like this is compared to post Spielberg Kaminski collab.
You think better or worse?
I'm going to go ahead and say this was it was better to see more variation.
All right, bit of trivia time for you both. This is one of 2 Spielberg films not scored by John Williams. Can you name the other?
The other one.
It's going to be a tough one.
This is tough, man. Was Catch Me If You Can scored by John Williams?
Yes. I'll give you a hint. It came out in the past 10 years.
Ooh. West Side Story.
No.
Hugo?
Who?
That movie Spielberg did that was like animated and it was really weird.
Oh, Tintin?
Oh, I don't know why I called it Hugo.
No, it's not Tintin.
Oh,
Was
okay.
it Munich?
No. That was 20 years ago, buddy.
Oh, man.
It's Bridge of Spies.
Okay.
Thomas
forgot
Newman
Spielberg
composed the
did
music
that.
to that.
Oh,
20 years ago? Oh, my gosh.
We're doing Munich later this year, man.
jeez.
For the 20th anniversary.
Oh, man, that was a while ago.
Yeah. 2005.
I was probably the only person in 2005 in my grade that checked that out at the library and wanted to watch it.
Munich.
Yeah.
I took a bunch of my friends to see it in the theater. Like, I was the driving force behind my friend group going to see it. And I don't think they appreciated it for the most part. I think they were not prepared for that.
I was a freshman in high school. I remember I checked it out at the library and I was like, oh, this is going to be so great. And then I was like, this was not what I expected.
It's great, but I know what you mean. Have you seen
Yeah.
that, Zion?
Oh, that's good.
Oh, it's good.
2005.
That's one of Spielberg's most underrated
look,
movies.
It's very compelling, especially like there's a really cool documentary that was released. I want to say it was like the 90s or late 80s about the same like event at the Olympics. And so I actually saw that because I checked that out at the library and that made me want to watch Munich.
I know a documentary. It's called One Day in September.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a fantastic documentary. Yes.
Yeah.
What is it with him coming out with these drama films during Christmas? Because I just looked it up. Munich was December 23rd.
It's
trying
so
to-
much more than a drama. It's an incredible thriller.
I was like 6 when that came out. I just did the math in my head, like 5,
incredible.
6. Okay, I'm gonna have to add that to the list. I think what made it funny is the fact that you were the driving force behind people going to go see it, and then them seeing it and being like, "What is wrong with you?"
It's a
yeah,
kind of
it's
a
not
kind
an
of
entertaining movie.
like I personally like to eat snacks when I watch films. If I'm in the movies and I'm eating a box of Reese's Pieces and watching that film, I stop eating halfway through and I'm like, I can't eat right now.
Might have to check this out now.
Yeah.
Let's add it to the
The
list.
score to that was composed by John Williams. It wasn't here. It was Quincy Jones.
The Quincy Jones.
I know he's a legend. I would have preferred a John Williams score though. Like I like Jones's score in parts. I like the main theme, but there are other scenes where he's scoring it like a comedy, and I don't quite know why.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A few scenes where it did sound very whimsical.
Yeah, and it's you're like,
A little too whimsical.
did he know it was supposed to be for this scene? Because I'm not sure that he did. I don't know.
I would have preferred I feel like if John Williams or somebody of that caliber would have done a score for this, it would have made just that total atmosphere of the film would have been different. Like it just
Yeah. It also that wouldn't have happened though, right? Because Quincy Jones was so attached to the film.
Right. He
probably
was
would-
doing the music. Yeah.
It would have been awkward to not have him do the score.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that was his call. He was like, "I'm doing the music, and that's final."
Mhm.
Which nothing against Quincy.
Yep. He has very successful daughters in the industry.
Right.
Go Rashida.
Right. When it comes to the tone of this film, I think there's good moments that are lighthearted enough because the subject matter is depressing enough in large parts. I do find it interesting rewatching this the other day how they're using some characters for comedic relief, like Old Mister. He's supposed to be this like awful character, right?
Terrible human being.
But the film doesn't show that. It kind of treats him as like this goofball.
Yeah, it's what is it? It's presented as like there's something like aloof about him.
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe it's showing us, or the film's way of telling us, like he ain't shit. Like how can you be this joyous, this just this comical, this colorful, vibrant person, and you've done all this horrible stuff. So I think you're supposed to be like a little disgusted at his actions. That's what I think. But
I thought it was odd how Danny Glover was so intimidated by him. There was no menace to Adolph Caesar's performance. He was the one standout in the cast where I just wasn't sure about the performance of what his character is supposed to be. You know, when he first comes to the house, Mr. Danny Glover's character is shown to be like intimidated by him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like hard to buy it.
Yeah,
like,
there's
this guy, like really?
Like he's just kind of, what is it? Just slightly toothless.
Yeah, like Ceely's father, or the man she thinks was her father, like he was way more intimidating than Old Mister.
Yeah, he was scary.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the intimidation factor wore off a little bit. Maybe it was the film just trying to show us, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is when predators or people who have exhibited predatory behavior get older, caffeine is not caffeine. Maybe it's just this way of showing us that, hey, he's old. Yeah, maybe he's old.
Yeah.
Maybe he isn't the same person that he used to be, and he's trying to compensate for that in other areas, like being humorous, but also showing us at the same time he ain't shit.
I did laugh when they're at Thanksgiving and he says the dead have arisen to Sophia. And then I'm just gonna say it now. I cry every time I watch this movie at the end. This is one of the most moving endings to a film I have ever seen. I have to give Spielberg and the cast immense credit for it because I don't cry during many films.
It's quite moving. Understatement, but it's quite moving.
I didn't cry, but I can see where you're coming from. It is very emotionally charged.
Yeah, I remember before I did the rewatch, I just looked it up on YouTube to see like what scenes pop up first. Like I just look up the film title, just curious to see what scenes pop up first. And the ending was listed, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to watch. I'll watch that first to remind myself of what happens." And it's just watching it with the film fully. It is just such a cathartic experience, and it is just so well done.
The whole build up to it, where she finds all the letters, the last 30 minutes of this film is incredible, and I don't think it's too long. I don't really think it had pacing problems. It's not a film that I would watch regularly.
Too heavy for that.
Right. But again, credit to Spielberg. Damn if he does not deliver. It's like the final act of this film is as strong as it gets. We can talk about Spielberg now, because this is the big point of contention about this film. This is certainly an outlier in his filmography. It is an odd film to assess in his larger body of work. There was controversy at the time. Spielberg directing a predominantly African-American story. There are some who feel that this should have been directed by a black filmmaker.
I'm gonna chime in. I feel like this is my moment, my time to shine. I'm gonna say this. Everybody who I could think of, they didn't have the commercial track record where a studio will feel comfortable giving them the financing to do it. So, and on top of that, like I feel like if anybody else would have done it, I'm sure it would have been good because I trust the people who I wrote down, to do things. But I don't know. Spielberg has a way of doing things, and I think the way he exhibited it or executed it, that's the word I was looking for. He did it in a way where it's like, wow, I really appreciate this. The people I was thinking of who were black who could have done this film during that time period, I would say Julie Dash. Julie Dash was a African American, or is, I don't know if she's still active because I don't really follow her career. She did a film in 1990, I believe, called Daughters of the Dust, which was like that was like big at the time, and it was sort of like the catalyst where it got the ball rolling for like a lot of other black female directors who followed her, and males too. After her, we got like Casey Lemons with Eve's Bayou, John Singleton popped, Spike Lee exploded. Those are my other two picks, Spike Lee and John Singleton. Spike Lee has a interesting way of telling stories, but I would have been interested to see his version. John Singleton, I think, would have been a really good contender. And my last person that I picked was Bill Duke, just
Mhm.
because that was like his height during the time period. But yeah, I don't know if they would have been able to do what Spielberg was able to do. I think it would have resulted in a more gritty film,
It would have
which
been an indie film, right? Because they wouldn't have gotten this kind of budget.
it would have been an indie for sure.
And
Yeah.
then, Singleton and Spike Lee, I think those are great shouts. But they weren't even really
They were
making
just
movies
scratch.
yet in 1985. They were just getting started. I think if this
Yeah,
movie had been made 10 years later, both of them would have been front runners.
yeah,
I would also say that those are it's interesting because, great directors, but also very different lenses of the black experience, right? Especially like,
extremely different.
and with that, this particular lens is a very different lens having Spielberg directing the film. So I think like it was a very unique experience of Spielberg leaning on the community to really help flesh out the story to be told. So I think like it was, especially today, I think that this, like having a white director for like a very black story is much more frowned upon nowadays.
It is. Depending on what the project is, I will say Spielberg did a hell of a job. He got
Yeah.
a lot of stuff right. I don't know much that he did get wrong. The issues I had with this film were very nitpicky, but he did one hell of a job. I'm telling you, this film is revered in black culture. Like it's a movie that's often revisited. I don't watch it. I've only seen it twice, but it's I don't know. And then we look at the commercial aspect of it. I don't know if these black filmmakers would have been able to have the draw to get people to even
Mm-hmm.
like put asses in the seats. Not saying that they aren't talented. At the end of the day, it's business. Like
Yep.
I don't know if you would be able to attract that many people to a project like this. Because if you go back and look at similar projects, they haven't done the numbers that this did in retrospect.
No,
Um,
they didn't.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of the reason why people went to go see this could have been, Steven Spielberg's little backing.
Well, you're hitting on the main point of
Yeah.
why I don't think this should be held against Spielberg. Quincy Jones, he wanted this to be a big film. He wanted the biggest filmmaker in the world to direct it because he wanted as many people to see it as possible.
Hmm.
So I think Spielberg approached this earnestly. It's not like he forced his way into this. He didn't demand to direct this. Quincy Jones asked him to. He was reluctant. He eventually agreed to do it. I think he did a very good job directing this.
I agree.
If this were made now, would Spielberg do it? I mean, actually, I think maybe he would because he's just so well respected. But it is
Yeah.
so different now. I mean, 1985, we can't take that out of the equation when we're assessing this.
One praise I had for Spielberg, and then I forgot the writer of the film. Sometimes when there are, pieces of cinema that aren't made by us, black people, it's a lot of things that are lost in translation, or there'll be things that characters do, and that's not stuff that we would do. I think a lot of it was done very right, and I think it could have been maybe the influence of the cast or maybe, whoever was in his corner giving him notes. But he got a lot of shit right. I have to give it to him because there have
Mhm.
been, even most recently, like, I don't know if either one of you saw The Woman in the Yard. There were a few choices in that movie, and I had to go back and look. I was like, wait a minute, did one of us make this? And we didn't. But which made like a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to give it to him. He did his best.
The cast defended the film. Oprah defended the film. Here's what Spielberg had to say about it. Quote, most of the criticism came from directors who felt that we had overlooked them and that it should have been a black director telling a black story. That was the main criticism. The other criticism was that I had softened the book. I have always copped to that. I made the movie I wanted to make from Alice Walker's book, end quote.
But
Yeah.
then when we get into the softening of the book, I think he made the film commercially viable.
Yeah, so
You can get a lot more asses in the seats with that PG-13 rating.
absolutely. And he knows he has the connections. I think too there's always going to be this level of just envy to want to be the one to direct and tell this story. Like no matter who the director is, like who wouldn't want to be part of like a large studio film and direct and tell that story. I think maybe there's just an added extra element because this is a very distinct story. This is a very cultural story, and I think like that's why also maybe it hits differently for folks that would have wanted to direct the film.
Another piece to this too, Zion, you mentioned this earlier. I think a lot of people were just jealous of Spielberg. He's never had a rough
Absolutely.
patch in his career. He's been so successful pretty much since he started.
I think the only person who's come like that close to what Steven did with Amblin would probably be what Ron Howard did with Imagine. That would be the only thing that I could think of in terms of like just having hit after hit after hit. Steven, he's had a few misfires, of course. Who doesn't?
Sure.
But even his misfires.
But he's never gone through a rough patch, really.
No.
Has Ryan Coogler ever gotten a rough film?
A rough film? No. All of his movies, I think it's too early in the game to even like factor that in because I think he's only did like 5 compared to like the 9 or 10 Spielberg had did at the time.
Right.
So I think everything that Ryan did, even Fruitvale Station, they were commercially viable.
Yeah.
There is.
It's
I
true.
don't even think there is a comparison to Spielberg. You're
No.
never going to see a filmmaker like that again.
Spielberg
It's
is
just
like
not possible.
he's like fucking Disney. When you think about it, what this man built in terms of like owning his IP, just having legitimately every resource at his fingertip. The caffeine is really not caffeine. Fingertips.
Try alcohol.
Oh no.
Clint Eastwood, he has a lot of film.
Clint does,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but does he have like the way I think of it is does he have I guess he does have the name. Like when people hear Clint Eastwood, they're sort of inclined to watch it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But he's a little bit more boutique than Spielberg.
Yeah, not the same. He's not putting out big blockbusters.
No, for the most part, no. I mean, I think at this point in what would have been 1985, I think Spielberg, he had the highest grossing movie ever with E.T., and then Jaws was probably like 3 or 4, and then Raiders was probably in the top 5, and Temple of Doom was in the top 10. So it was like 4 or 5 of the highest grossing films of all time at that point.
Right.
Spielberg movie.
Dude knows story structure.
He does.
He knows story structure, and from a business standpoint, he knows how to put together a damn good production.
Yeah, I mean, it's
really interesting to talk about. And you know what? I think like when I look at other parallels of directors with just awesome batting averages with films that they put out, it makes me go back and think, how many more Avatar films do you think we're gonna get?
I think Disney has it pushed up to about 5 at the moment. Not 5 in total, but up to Avatar 5.
At least one more from Cameron.
And like what? And basically, like, why are we going to get the twilight years of James Cameron just doing more Avatar films when we haven't even seen? Or I would love to see James Cameron direct a bit more creatively.
Yeah, I would agree.
Even
we all would.
Maybe go into a drama. Wouldn't that be interesting?
He's done incredible drama when he's done it with Titanic.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. Wasn't that highest grossing film of all time. It's probably been dethroned by now.
It was at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Until Avatar overtook it.
And then didn't Avengers, one of them, Endgame or something?
Yeah, and then he re-released Avatar to retake it. It's weird. He was like, no, that's not happening on my watch.
Are we getting Endgame back in theaters, you think?
Why not?
I wouldn't be surprised.
For a 10-year anniversary? Why not?
I'd want a Hulk popcorn bucket.
It's been
Yeah,
10 years?
Sure. No, when it happens. They should do it for the 10-year anniversary. Well, it's already 7 years old. It's coming up.
That's something.
This was Spielberg's 85. I wrote this down because this was like just blew me away. So he directed this film, Color Purple. He also produced Back to the Future, The Goonies, and Young Sherlock Holmes. It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
Huge.
One of the most influential like coming of age films in The Goonies.
That was 85 too?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then Back to the Future is one of the most famous films ever.
One of the best films of all time.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece.
I hope they never touch it. Leave it alone.
They can't as long as Robert Zemeckis is alive.
Really?
Yes.
He owns the rights to it or something?
Yes.
Oh.
And then there's Young Sherlock Holmes,
which we're covering later this year, Anton. Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
It's a fun movie.
It is fun.
I wouldn't call it great, but it's fun. I really like it. I've decided we can cover it as a Christmas movie because it takes place around Christmas, so why not?
Sure.
Yeah, Spielberg does a great job here. There's this shot in the film, very memorable. He talked about this in the making of documentary. It's the thing he's most proud of in the film. There's two things he said that really stood out to me. This is the first one. The silhouette of the younger actress playing Celie sitting down in the rocking chair, and then we get the transition of the Shug Avery flyer being blown in the wind, hitting the house, and then when we return to the same shot of Celie sitting in the chair in silhouette, her voice changes. She reappears around the corner. It's a different actress. It's Whoopi Goldberg. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That's the shot he said he's most proud of in the film, and that's the kind of stuff where it's just like, what would another director do with something like that? It's such a brilliant
in
transition.
In so many words, it's like you can read the words off of the page of like, and the years passed across the years.
Right.
And the character got older. But instead of saying, it was just showing beautifully.
Absolutely.
The other thing that stood out to me is he referred to the mailbox as the 8th character in the film, which I found really interesting. It's a brilliant touch. He uses it as a lot of transition between seasons, showing the passage of time. It makes total sense. There's a lot of shots of that mailbox.
It does make sense. Interesting.
And then the other thing that really stood out to me, the cross-cutting sequence where we think Celie's going to cut Mister's throat with is it like a wedding ceremony in Africa? I think it was a wedding or some. I'm not exactly sure, but you know what I'm talking about. The cross-cutting between the two of those, it's just masterpiece of editing. It's fantastic. You're thinking about that mailbox, aren't you, Anton?
I am. I'm like,
it's such an interesting thing to say.
I've never really thought of it like that, and I think that's just so.
That's why he's Spielberg.
It's so introspective. I love it.
We're all in agreement here. He's like an actual genius, right? I don't think it's a hot take to say that. Like he's like a no shit genius.
But I think people don't view it like that. I think he's hit home runs to the point where they think he's Barry Bonds. It's like, oh, that's just easy for him. It's like
I agree with you, Anton. He's weirdly underrated. I don't know why or how to describe it.
I think it goes back to what I said earlier. The industry was jealous of him.
Yeah.
Like, you have that. Outside of that, I didn't realize Steven retained the rights for most, if not all, of his films. He built a literal machine. What he was able to achieve technically and just in every aspect financially, nobody else has been able to touch.
Not with that level of consistency, no.
Yeah.
No.
So whether or not there is a conspiracy against Steven Spielberg, it was really great to see at the Motion Picture Academy Museum in Los Angeles. I recently went in December. There's a lot of love for Steven Spielberg over there.
I think it's come over time. In 1985, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
They hated him.
They really did. It's interesting. We'll talk about that in a second. Just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, Zion, of why I think he's underrated. So 2010s, right? This is generally seen, if you're assessing Spielberg's career, it's usually described as a quote-unquote down decade for Spielberg. Well, he had 4 films nominated for Best Picture, and it's somehow seen as a down decade for him. That would be as high of a peak as possible for pretty much any other filmmaker. But for him, it's like, it was all right.
He's also a really interesting example of no matter the size of the budget, he's still able to put out a fantastic film.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know about Ready Player One, but
You didn't like Ready Player One?
it's okay.
Oh, that told me everything I need to know. We won't go any further.
Compared to everything else Spielberg's done, it's fine.
I think at that point he's just having fun. Like
he was referencing a lot of his own films, which I thought was strange.
Yeah.
It's a little meta when you see like the dinosaur from Jurassic Park in it. You're like, huh.
And Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
And Chucky.
And Back to the Future, the DeLorean. You're like,
And the bike from Akira.
Yeah,
were they supposed to do a sequel to that one?
I don't know. It made money, but not a ton. He actually hasn't had a huge hit in a while, believe it or not. But all right, let's talk about the Oscars thing now.
Okay.
11 nominations, no wins. Not nominating him for director is a slap in the face. That is astounding.
That's probably the most, like, getting shut out is one thing. Not even getting nominated for like something he should have been nominated for. Yeah, that's the disrespectful one.
He got the Directors Guild of America award, and this was the first time a director had won that without even being nominated for the Oscar. So this is what he said about it at the time. Quote, "I was hurt. I felt that I had let Alice Walker down. I felt I had let the cast down and the people who worked so hard on the film," end quote. He also acknowledged it might have been connected to perceptions about his previous work being more commercial or quote-unquote less serious, and that his name may have carried blockbuster baggage in the eyes of Academy voters. This is hilarious to me because at the time some people were saying this is Spielberg's first serious movie. It's like, how is E.T. not a serious movie?
E.T. is shed thug tears watching that.
Or Close Encounters, very serious movie.
Very serious film. I think this is where, like, we talked about it before, like personal gripes about the Academy Awards. It's just a hugely political process. What was it? It's like really famous this past year. The news is Academy voters have to watch every film that's nominated now. So what have they been doing for years?
Farting around.
Exactly. Like it is a huge just buttering up like campaign by any studio to get their film to win, let alone be nominated. So
the industry is high school. Everybody's going to vote for their friends. It's like who's running for class president almost.
Or what is it? The news came out that the team for Anora put more money into the campaign for the Academy Awards than they did into the actual film.
This is what I'm saying. It's a shit show at times. I think this movie had two things going against it. One, they didn't like Spielberg, and then at the time, I don't want to blame it on racism, but I would say that there was definitely some bias. You have this film with a majority POC, well, a majority black cast coming out the park swinging with all these nominations, and I'm like, oh shit, look at these little black kids. And Spielberg helped them.
Well, he spoke about that later. He reflected on the racial politics surrounding the Oscars. He said it probably played a role in the snub. He suggested the Academy wasn't ready to fully embrace a film about black women's experiences, especially directed by a white filmmaker. They acknowledged it, but they didn't, right? They gave it all these nominations. It didn't win anything. I mean, I know the awards can be subjective, but Whoopi Goldberg not winning is insane.
But what's crazy is how she won for Ghost a few years later, which was rightfully, but I feel like this was a more powerful performance than Ghost was.
Yeah, I mean, she's amazing in Ghost, but that's definitely a more comedic performance.
Ghost was funny as hell.
Ghost is awesome. I'm not taking anything away from what she did in Ghost, but if you were going to give her one Oscar, it has to be this. It has to be.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Geraldine Page, who won for The Trip to Bountiful. I've never seen it, so maybe I'm being a little disingenuous by saying it. It's not a better performance than this, though. Sorry.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. But I guess it just kind of says a bit about the sign of the times. Like, to me, it just seems like a no-brainer. Should have been nominated. But I guess, thankfully, times have changed.
Yeah.
Danny Glover, not even nominated for supporting actor. That's nuts.
Insanity.
Have you looked up who won? supporting actor that year?
No, who won?
Don Amici for Cocoon.
Cocoon?
Yeah, the Ron Howard movie.
I've seen that one.
Fine movie, cute movie. It's not there was nothing in that where you're like, this is an Oscar.
So that's kind of the equivalent to Jamie Lee Curtis winning the Oscar for Everything, Everywhere,
Yeah.
All at Once. And then Angela Bassett was fucking pouring her guts out in Black Panther. And when you think about it, Jamie did nothing. Like, she sat at a desk, she started dating Michelle, forgot her last name, and then she
Yeoh.
had a few fight sequences. Yes, Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, and it's like she's
Yeah.
not bad in that movie. She's fine. Like,
But Jamie has done better shit than that to be nominated. It was just a obvious slight. It was weird.
Margaret Avery should have won, or Oprah.
Yeah.
Just either one of them should have won, and we got Angelica Houston winning Anton.
For what movie
Yeah.
again?
Prizzy's Honor.
It was a
Was
Jack
it-
Nicholson film.
I haven't
never
seen
seen
it
it.
either. So, like,
I can't comment.
I don't know. Margaret Avery is. I would have given it to Margaret Avery because she's in the movie more than Oprah.
I would have given it to Oprah because the way Oprah like just changes over the course of this film, and at
That's
the
fair.
end, that dinner scene
fair.
alone, like sitting there rocking back and forth, looking like, what the fuck has happened to you? Oh yeah, she
Mhm.
would have got it.
Harpo should have been nominated. I'm gonna say no.
Nah.
Nah.
Well, we already touched on one of the categories that it was a little questionable that it got nominated.
Makeup. Yeah, I wrote down makeup.
Yeah, a little, spotty at
Do you-
times.
Do you think that was a slight at Spielberg for being nominated for makeup when the makeup really wasn't the best that it could
I
have
think it
been?
might have been.
That's funny. That's a great conspiracy theory. Let's push it. Can we put this?
I can't picture Spielberg getting angry. I'm sure he's capable of anger because he seems like one of the most chill's not the right word.
He just doesn't care.
Oh, he cared then.
He's a very zen dude. He
is. He's pretty laid back.
He looks
Yeah.
hard to like get a reaction out of.
Yeah. Also, I this is not related to this film, but he's low key like an amazing dresser. That's the style I aspire to when I'm like a 50-something-year-old dad. You ever notice that? Like you wouldn't notice that when you're younger, I feel like, but the older I get, I'm like, man, he dresses well.
I want the Tony Soprano when I'm 50.
You could pull that off, I guess.
Just like large bowling shirts, Versace track pants.
Not the Versace.
Why not?
You got to mix in a few of those Hawaiian vacation tees.
Exactly. Those are the Hawaiian vacation tees. Basically,
Stick with Spielberg.
the large. What is it? The what is it? The large. I forget what they're called. Like the frilled T-shirts, light blue. Oh man, those are great.
Dress more like Spielberg. That's my advice to people.
Spielberg, he's just always dressed like he's
Smart.
getting ready to. Yeah, like he's about to have lunch at Panera Bread. Like it's just.
He does. It's a lot of like ties and cardigans and vests, and he just
Yeah,
always looks comfortable.
Zion killed me.
Comfortable but sophisticated.
I'm Zion. I am willing to bet you he does not eat at Panera Bread.
No, he probably eats at some indie cafe. I just said Panera Bread because, I've seen a few beatniks just like him that go to Panera Bread.
Or is he? Or is he a man of the people? He will eat out of Panera when he's not getting his meal prepared by a private chef.
His house
That
got
does.
spared in the wildfires in Pacific Palisades.
Did he
That's
pay
a
for
cool
that?
thing.
I don't know exactly where it is in Pacific Palisades. I do know that it did not burn down.
That's nice.
He had
Well,
a water.
nice for
He had a
him.
water. He had a water wall built last minute.
Wouldn't
Who-
surprise me.
Who from the Friends cast? I was about to say a name that wasn't even involved with Friends. I don't know if it was Courtney Cox. It's one of them. She lives in that general area and she has a whole sprinkler system. Like she said, she invested over $20 million in it. So that way, like when fires happen, they start well in advance that cover the entire property.
And it saved her place.
It, on a few occasions, let me look it up.
It better save her place for $20 million.
Star sprinkler.
And when that happened, I remember I was telling you, Pat, like I've driven through that area so frequently. I don't know what the recovery process has been like, but like stuff is just to the ground.
Jennifer Aniston.
Okay.
Yeah, yep, it was her.
Do we have anything to add before we bring this home?
I don't want to
Are-
see this
yeah.
movie touched again. Leave it
But
alone.
are you so both of you guys, you haven't seen the remake or the musical?
I don't have
and
time for that level of
not-
aggression.
I don't
I'm
really
not
have
feeling
it.
inclined.
I don't really have interest in it.
I feel more inclined to go see the musical. I love stage plays. I love musicals, so I'm curious about it. But
I would see the
yeah,
stage play.
Well, you let me know.
Whenever it's I don't know where it's touring at now in the world, but I would
yeah.
definitely.
It's so also just kind of another interesting like Hollywood connection. Cynthia Erivo is the lead in, or was like the lead during the initial run of The Color Purple. It's like kind of how she got like big hit recently, and of course she's going to be leading again in Wicked Part 2. So there we go.
Great. Well,
That
Zion, as the
sound
guest,
excited.
would you like to go first and give your rating here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a well-made film, well crafted, well acted. I would give it about a B plus. I think that's fair. Not my favorite. Not something I would revisit often. This is definitely something you have to be in the mood to watch. This isn't something I would pull off my shelf on a Tuesday afternoon to watch. But it's a good film. Wish it would have gotten more praise when it came out, but I think it's received its flowers over the years. So.
Yeah, I think in the totality of Spielberg's filmography, this is somewhat underrated. It's a great work. It's beautifully acted. It's beautifully directed. Beautifully filmed. Maybe it could have done the source material more justice. I don't know. You could debate that endlessly. I think there's some tonal issues that we were touching on a little bit that I found a little odd on the latest rewatch. Some of the comedy stuff they were trying to do didn't always land for me. Some of the performances didn't land for me, but the ones that matter in the film, the lead and the primary players, it's incredible performances from them. Many of them are debuts. We've talked about it. Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah, Danny Glover, and essentially his first big role. It is a wonderfully effective drama. I give it an A minus. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think it's an excellent film, and it deserves its recognition. That I think you're right, Zion. It's gotten it gradually over the years. So yeah, A minus for me.
In terms of adaptation and just structure of film, I think this film is just very spot on. I thought the pacing was excellent. I never felt bored in this film. And along with both of your points, I additionally just want to say how difficult it is, or even just the concept of this film is just very difficult to tell another culture's story, a very intimate story that's very connected to American culture and history. I don't think it should be taken for granted how much or how well Steven Spielberg did with making this film and telling this story. So as much as, yes, there are definitely some inconsistencies with certain elements of like the story adaptation, or just the tone just seemed a little off from here and there. It's a very difficult story to tell, and Steven Spielberg, I think, put together quite a film, and also just gave a great example of how you can respectfully tell another culture's story, or even tell the story of others in a very respectful way while still telling it effectively. I think that it has so much, just it is so much of a contribution to film as much as it is to the importance of today's culture. So I highly recommend this film. I don't think that I can watch it that often, just because it is very, very heavy to watch, but I think that people should see it at least once. It is a very powerful film. I put this one at an A minus.
Did it deserve Best Picture, you think? We talked about this on Out of Africa. We both agreed that it kind of did based on the nominees.
Yeah. I think it did. I think
Well,
it really
what were
did.
the nominees?
Out of Africa won.
Mm-hmm.
Without looking it up, Witness was nominated, Kiss of the Spider Woman, and then I think Prizzy's Honor.
Yeah. I think after having seen Out of Africa and not having seen it before, I have much more respect for the film. I do see these two like kind of going more toe to toe. Just very different films, but I do think like Color Purple should have won.
I agree, and I haven't even seen any of the films that you just mentioned, but the names alone, they don't even sound intriguing.
We covered Out of Africa in that previous episode. We as one of the so-called worst Best Picture winners, because it's usually included like near the top of that list if you ever like look it up.
And it's not a bad movie.
Really liked it though.
It's not a bad movie. Yeah.
Also not a movie I can watch all the time. It is slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, That is it for The Color Purple. Zion, this was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure when I get to come and talk to you guys. Can't wait to come back and discuss Last Night at Soho. And then, who knows? I might pop up again sooner than that.
Well,
but we will
Beloved
see.
is happening at some point. We just don't know
At
when.
some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's haven't
That's
seen
a
that in
3-hour
while.
movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
you've seen it before.
Yeah.
Oh.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that is it for this week's edition of Why Wasn't It Better? Thanks for listening and see you next time.